Okay, so they always save the best for last, and in my opinion, steel is kind of like what the good part of Highlander is about, which is like coordination and team play. This map is one where it can be very chaotic because of the very narrow hallways and rotations and like all the different ways from go to like one point of sight to another. But yeah, I mean, once you get a hang of the layout and you don't feel lost, everything will kind of come naturally the more you play in Highlander. So I'm gonna start from blue side A to E, and then go back to red side after I cover everything about blue. So, like I said, there's a lot more strategy involved with this map compared to like the map that you probably played last week. Where I mean, there's always strategy involved in Highlander, but there's definitely maps where like you definitely need a lot more brain power and coordination compared to like skills. So product was more of like a mechanics map, while steel and I could say for payload like Swiftwater are more tactical map. So when you're on the blue side and you're setting up, there's a couple things you could do. Well, the number one thing that's always probably gonna happen, uh, is that we're gonna get A cap instantly. Usually in the Highlander meta nowadays, nobody plays for an A cap anymore. Or like if they're defending, nobody plays like to hold A. Because the hold for it is very punishing for them due to like their respawn shutter being like really easy to lock out. So I would say everyone on the team should make an effort into clearing the A site. Like, and by I mean the A site, I don't mean just the cap. I mean like all of this, because the one thing that you want to your advantage while you're thinking about going for a B play as you're capping A is getting spy. So I would not bring your medic out until the A cap happens, because let's say uh you guys want to do an A to E play. Your medic positioning is gonna show what you guys want to do, generally speaking. So if I were to bring my medic out along with my whole team on A, the spy's alive, which usually the spy's on Cloak and Dagger, and he's on like either this roof, or he can literally be anywhere. Like wherever you think a spy would be, he'll probably be there. I've seen spies get up here without um like any assistance, and I just obviously the top of the rocks. So like case in point, like when you're capping A, on the downtime, because they're not gonna fight you for A, you guys are gonna try to find spies the best like possible way you can. If you can't, it is what it is. But you have to be aware that if spy sees and calls everything and lives, then he's gonna give the defending team a much easier time in terms of telegraphing what you guys want to do. If you guys do find spy and you kill him, this works out in your favor, because you could do now one of two things after capping A. You could wait for the door to slowly open, and then you'll be able to maybe send your flank and engineer on heaven. So let me just put on no clip. So like the door would open per se, right? And then like instead of like trying to go B all the way back from your spawn, you could set up your engineer in heaven with a teleporter. The teleporter could be in heaven, but usually if your gun is at heaven because you're playing for space as the engineer, um, then they'll probably look for your teleporter in heaven as well, and they can spam it from the spawn. So what I would recommend for the engineer, if he was to try to take space in the heaven to like help scout and soldier get E pressure, is I would actually put the teleporter in hell, because nobody on the red team, when A is the only point captured, is going to check hell for you. They're going to be more worried about the point itself, and they're basically going to do it from either here or they're going to do it from Wishbone. So this is the first option. I wouldn't say it's the main option. I don't think there is a main option. It's just whatever works better. But usually the most common practice in terms of getting a good steal time is going through the caps from A to E, instead of trying to like hopscotch, A and an E. You could still do it, but I wouldn't make it my main strategy because there's when you have less caps on each point, the team has more spawns. So like if when you cap A, their spawn doesn't change here, right? Only when you cap B is when their spawn flips from this side to this side. And then you guys will know like spawn after you cap C, like they still have this spawn. Nothing changes, but after they cap D, this shutter door closes. So a lot of the rotations are like cut off the more points you cap. That's why like the more traditional way is always going through the letters like A, B, C, D, E. But some teams if they're good enough and they can control the space, you guys could go for an A to E cap. So yeah, that's with if you just cap the point and the slower door opens, and then like mind you, when the slower door opens, this doesn't mean you get to do that for free. You're probably gonna have a scout and soldier and even the spy respawning, fighting for this space. The scout and soldier will probably calm you, so the team will rotate. So like if you want to get advanced with it, you could show yourselves and the combo and the beam in the lobby, bully the guys in the lobby out, and then go back to B. And then that goes into my next segment, which is like fighting for B, right? So um let's go off of the fact that you just capped A, you didn't bring your med out, we didn't kill spy, so it's just like a normal scenario. Like we just capped A and we have 9 players on our team versus 9 players on their team, and we have even Ubers. What do we do? So we want pressure from a lot of angles from specific classes before we try to go like the usual through the hallway or maybe up the stairs. But ideally you want to have your flank not dying as you're getting ready to do a B push. You want to have your flank kind of ready to like start working together and like win the space in lobby. That way they could either have someone pressure the ECAP and divert attention, or they could go all the way to Wishbone as a scout soldier combo and pinch when you guys are walking to B. So the rundown is that they're gonna hold close here and they're gonna occasionally jiggle peek to figure out what's going on. They're gonna have soldier and heavy here, but uh if the soldier isn't here, he's probably fighting the other flank in the flank side, like in lobby and wishbone, which means it would be mainly just heavy here. And usually heavy has a teleporter exit here. And then if he has to drop down, he just drops down because it's too much pressure, and then he just takes like a teleporter right here, which is the entrance. It's really important for someone to be here, but I'll cover that more in defense. The whole point is that there's probably gonna be 1 to 2 people on the stairs, and like how it's gonna work is that we're gonna go for an Uber exchange, mainly our demo taking the majority of the Uber and our pyro getting flashed like at the very end through this doorway. And that's if they're close, right? Usually sometimes they'll hold a little bit more passive, but if we know they're close because we saw them jiggle peeking and stuff, we're probably gonna go for that. Before that Uber happens, our medic should try to buff heavy to 450 as best as possible before the exchange happens, so he has a chance to fight them up top. You can also have your scout bonk atomic punch and then run into the heavy, absorbing most of the bullets and kind of bullying him out as the heavy is revved and like slow peeking up the stairs. Your main goal as the heavy is not to peek them from upper until your team is with you around this area if the exchange is won. The whole point of this action as a heavy player is just to maintain the space and make sure they can't have this. Because if heavy is alive this whole time and there's no pressure on the stairs, and you guys, let's say you guys call the post and you guys swing out through here, you're basically gonna get like steamed because you're all like in this pit. Heavy's gonna pepper you down with minigun bullets, and their demo and engineer are probably gonna like spam you with their Wrangler combo and there's pipes. So that's why the whole point of like coordination is really like important in steel compared to like product. So let's say the most idealistic scenario happens. You guys exchange, no one dies during the exchange, you guys call the post. The heavy that's up here doesn't die, but he gets bullied out and he go back to a more passive position. That means you have your heavy in the stairs and he's ready to peek for you at any time. So as the combo, you guys just want to flood out and make sure you take as much space as possible as a team. You're gonna have to peek the sniper sight lines, which is usually just sniper up here. And then if you get into a more deeper position on B, the sniper will probably be at the windows. But at this whole time, while that's happening, your sniper could opt to go up the stairs with your heavy and start peeking him and fighting the sniper. Or he could go with the combo and just keep getting deeper and deeper, so you could have a better angle into killing other players if sniper's not an issue. Your spy, of course, isn't doing nothing at this moment. Your spy is probably getting ready to sap the gun as you guys exchange, because the idealistic thing is Xbox goes for an uncloak, either gets a stab if he's lucky, and like they're in the way of the gun, and then they sap the gun. In that exchange, demo should focus his first 4 to 5 sticks or pipes uh, on the gun to destroy it, and then stay out of the Uber at the end for the pyro to air blast and make sure they're not on top of you for when the post Uber's happening. Your flanking soldier, if they're successful, will have wishbone and pressure for you guys in this area. They shouldn't really try to be super deep unless you guys are already on B cap, because if they're just alive and just they have this control, usually what happens if the red team can't hold B is that they'll try to leave through wishbone. So that's just a perfect chance for your scout and soldier to kind of like nuke them as they're leaving. Obviously, like that's not gonna always happen. Maybe like they come at you and then you just lose your duels. But I'm just saying, I would rather have my scout and soldier control this area with maybe the help of spy if there's no like gun or anything, than like them trying to like get kills and then chase them into spawn, because you'll really ruin their rotation if you just stay in wishbone and you're ready. So eventually, how it works is that you're gonna win B by just taking more space than the enemy. So like when you get gun, when you get their Ubers, when you get classes, you're just eventually gonna overpower them because your spawn times are faster. And you, as long as you guys are pushing up as a unit, you guys will get more space, and they'll have to back out through this spawn or through wishbone. And that's how B plays on offense. Depending on the scenario, you could go extremely fast into C or more of a neutral pace. So what I mean by that is that like if you guys capture B and the majority of their team are dead, it's really important to take advantage of the red team's death timers. Because on Steel, the average death timer for a player, even when B is not capped, is 20 seconds. That's a general estimate, but it gets even longer the more caps you have. It could even go like to 30. So when that's the case and you guys have a lot of kills on them and you guys have a decent amount of players on your end, you guys want to try to go wishbone fast. Have a have someone get on top of here quick. Maybe it could be soldier, maybe it could be demo, and then try to spawn trap them off the shutter so they don't have a chance to fight. Maybe if the heavy's alive and they backed off early, you can't do this because the heavy will probably be in this area revved and then you'll just land into the heavy's arms and die. But it's better than waiting for this slow door to open after like 15 seconds than if you guys just rather take wishbone and like really take all this free space. You don't even have to necessarily like as soon as you get over here you just bomb it there. Like if we know heavy's alive, we could just go super wide with it and then we just take more space for free because they're still respawning. If you don't have the momentum and it's a 9v9 scenario because a lot of people died from both sides, like medics for example, it happens a lot. You guys would probably opt to make sure everyone's buffed and healthy and we're in position to get ready to push into C. So how do we do that? I mean, slow door is one of them. It takes about like 15 seconds, I'd say, for this door to open completely, which is a pretty long time. Usually the combo doesn't wait for that. The combo just kind of wants to take wishbone control. And then from here, your combo can decide what they want to do based on where they're at. So like maybe the engineer is trying to build a heaven gun because that's usually what the engineer does after they lose B. Because it's really like I said, like the more caps you get in steel, the easier it is for you to get some E pressure. So if the engineer doesn't have a gun setup or he's building a gun, maybe as a demo man, you can like jiggle peek a little bit. Just be careful with sniper sight lines because snipers like to play like right here, and then like your sniper would probably go JFK and then try to work with the flank to try to get some picks on the engineer. But
AFK.
there's definitely a lot of things that we could do in this moment. So that's one thing. And then like maybe if we get heaven, because usually how any ECAP works, no matter how many caps you have from A to D, as long as you guys have good control on heaven via like your own engineer or soldier, uh you guys will have a lot easier time capturing E. So if you guys want to do a B to E cap, then you will need a lot of lockdown on this spawn and you need heaven control for it to work. Otherwise, it's not really gonna work because the engineer's gonna just gonna never give you guys a chance to have E. The soldier could roll out here, the sniper could roll out and peek here. We need full control from this area if we want to capture E after we capped B. But if we just want to go from B to C, Wishbone's probably the best bet. Just be careful with this grate, as anyone that goes through here, it is splashable. A soldier's rockets will splash through it. A demo's traps he could carpet 4 to 5 traps and one shot you guys here. So just be very careful. If I recall correctly, like if you're like a soldier or demo and you put a sticky and you see sticks on the underside, you could just put one down and then just spread them away. I don't know if the pyro detonator works. I'd hope it does because it's damage from it's like a two-way panel, so the damage can reflect from both sides. But yeah, after this, depending on how they're holding it, we could do a couple things. So if we have even Ubers and they have like a gun on C, they have their heavy here, and they have like their medic like here. We can have our sniper kind of play with the flank players like soldier and then just kind of like post up here and then just get ready to shoot people in the head after post. We could have our medic getting ready to use before this doorway, and then our demo could just like put a sticky in and then rock sticky jump. Not too deep, of course, because if you sticky jump too deep, your medic won't be able to catch you. It's more like a get height, so you can like see the area and target what you need to target. Um, Spy could coordinate with this, or Spy could look to disrupt the flank side, which is like the heaven area. If Scout and Soldier are over here instead, trying to like take space, because that's like basically what Scout and Soldier do on offense and defense for the most part. They just play together to take space. But if Spy's with us, they could go for a pretty crucial stab during the post or a sap, and then the whole point of the exchange is just to get the exchange out of the way. We call the Ubers like ending, and then we try to play together like and fight for this space. We don't want to have our demo and medic the only ones trying to break this and only getting the Uber when they have like a heavy and NG and like all these people here. Same concept as B. Eventually, you guys are just gonna overwhelm them because if you kill them, they have a longer respawn timer than you do, and then you guys just cap C. And then again, if you could cap C and a lot of their teammates died, or a lot of the red team died, and a lot of the blue team survived, you guys could use that momentum to go through Death Hallway to capture D quickly. But this is very scary because you're not peeking one but two respawn shutters. So you really have to pay attention if like demo or heavy or soldier respawn. You could see them through this window more or less, but you can't like see all of it. And you really that's called Death Hallway for a reason. You don't want to stay there for too long. So like if you have the momentum, you should go through Death Hallway as fast as you can just to take space on D because D doesn't have a lot of space compared to C or B. It's very like really close. And yeah, this is with like, if you guys have the momentum, you guys know that you can do it, you guys could go through Death Hallway fast. Or the other option is, of course, if you don't have all those death timers, we could not go through Death Hallway because it's too risky and just go all the way back to spawn. So we could, if our engineer has a teleporter to lobby already, because the engineer kind of works with the flank a lot on offense. They're mostly, like trying to get their buildings and get their space so they can have better utility for the team. And I mean, like a good example of this is if the engineer was already working with the your scout and soldier on offense, and then they got like a teleporter in lobby, right? So and they built it to level 3. Then instead of like doing this whole around the world trip by walking, you kind of just take the teleporter and then just go straight to lobby because this is where the map kind of flips itself. You've all been playing at this up to C, all this side of the map, and now you're playing the complete opposite side. So as a combo, you want to be here because you're fighting for D, and also like I mentioned, like if you have 3 caps, it's a lot harder for them to hold E. If you have D capped, then like obviously it's E is the last cap, so it's gonna be the easiest cap possible compared to like if you only cap C or B or A. We can't all always just like bomb for or not bomb, but like attack one site. Usually, the whole point of like how steel is able to be capped and like pushed effectively is with split pressure. So like notice how like my I noticed or not how I noticed, but notice how most of like the interactions that we had from each point are scout, soldier, engineer, and sometimes even spy are just in the opposite side. That's like all their hard work paying off to this point. Because now if your combo's going on the lobby side, then you guys are gonna have to play wishbone side, and then you're gonna have to pressure if let's say our combo goes through here, and like they have heaven, right? I feel like now if the engineer has to wrangle his gun because the people that are peeking from lobby to D can see the gun now. As a soldier, you'll probably have a lot easier time killing the engineer and getting in deep and disrupting the heaven hold now that you have C captured. Or, as a scout, you're just really quick and like sneaky and you're just trying to get into different rotations where people aren't expecting you. That way, instead of dying in 2 shots because the map is very tight, you're being able to be anywhere you need to be to get like really nice picks. Like sometimes I've seen scouts kind of just go through wishbone up to C and then like they find an engineer like trying to build their guns and then they get the engineer pick. That's huge. Those are like the roles those people have. And then obviously spy, you can work a lot with either your combo or your flank to make sure what you want to do works because you can't really do it by yourself. Maybe you can, but like it's more efficient if you have someone taking the attention for a moment for you to do what you need to do. And that can mean like uncloaking on engineer and killing him heaven or like catching like demo med scout like any class on a rotate. If you know that your team is on one side, like for example, your combo is doing the exchange over here, then you could like try to go for a play on their combo after the Uber ends. Stuff like that is what makes it very interesting uh to play in Steel. So like going back to this, we have the lobby control, the Ubers are even and they're set up on D. They're not gonna have their gun in D ever. They're gonna have their gun in heaven, so you don't have to worry about shooting gun at that point. Demo. The whole thing you want is either taking an Uber exchange through here, even though they could see you, or you take an Uber exchange through here and then just call the post Uber so you have your team back you up after the post Uber ends. It's very hard for you to get a good Uber through here because they're gonna be sitting really passive over here, but you kind of need to get it out of the way so you have a shot of basically killing them, and then you guys have better spawns. Your respawn timer is like 5 seconds. Their respawn timer is 30. You have the teleporter, and then like it's kind of like a war of attrition. Like you eventually are gonna break them, and then you just close it out. But if you have Uber Disad, don't wait too long. There's always opportunities for you guys to just refight by taking the teleporter back to lobby because your respawn timers are a lot faster. So just make sure that if you have Uber Disad, you get ready to have your med kite out. Because even if your medic has a good respawn timer, you don't want to be on permanent Disad. And you'll probably disrupt their positioning if you just do a dry fight instead of wanting to wait for your Uber to come back to do an even fight. At the end of the day, like it's just with steel, it's just territory control. Like you just want more territory than they have. They start with the most territory, but eventually, the more you pick them off, the more territory you could get from both sides. And then after decap, they can't go through the spawn anymore. So like all you really have to watch if you're capping E is from D side spawn, or you go or from wishbone, because they only have these two shutters to roll out from after D is capped. Usually the combo would try to have their Uber on red and then try to go through wishbone and then exchange, but it's easily deniable by pyro if you guys are aware where they're going. In fact, both of them are really easy to deny as pyro, but we just have to anticipate where it is. And then like at that point, like you have heaven, you have lobby. You don't really need to hold wishbone, but you can have like someone on the stairs here, like soldier or heavy, to just spam them out. Always have people on the point as much cap time as possible, not the whole team, but you know, enough. These bridges are open at that point, by the way, so there's no need to like rocket jump or debt jump or double jump to it. They actually open as soon as C gets captured, I believe. So there's more accessibility for other classes. And then oh yeah, be careful when you're capping for like demo, instead of going wishbone to go under at hell and just kind of like spam you out. A lot of people don't look here and then they just realize, oh, how did I take so much damage, and then just explode. And that's basically it for offense. Like your whole strategy on offense is making sure everyone's at the right place at the right time, not going in without like any buffs, ever making sure everyone has enough heals to do what you need to do, and just coordinate and call things effectively. So like your bread and butter is always going to be an exchange, um while the flank tries to work their space and like just survive so they could be a nuisance, and then like the exchange happens, and then we just kind of call the post, and then we just call our focuses, and then eventually we will overpower them and then beat them because their respawn timers are a lot faster than ours. Just obviously be aware of like their pick classes like sniper and spy. Sniper and spy is what makes Highlander probably the more chaotic counterpart compared to sixes. Um, I mean, when there's more people on the server, there's more randomness, but you know, sniper and spy have had two insta kill mechanics that are really dangerous if like not accounted for. So the comms on them need to be really good as well, and people should pay attention to the spy comms and the sniper comms. So I'm gonna go from red side from E to A. Actually, no, I'm gonna go from A to E because then it gets confusing. Um, so like on red on A, like I said, nobody holds it anymore. There's not really a point. Unless you guys got an insane time on offense and you just want to like, you know, be funny and then, you know, troll a little bit and then just hold A. You can. It can work if people aren't ready for it, but just it's not something that you could do like long term, like how you do on Swiftwater first. Like you can't do that long term. And the only people that are gonna be here is basically scout, soldier to try to spam, get some cheeky rage build up, and then just kind of like leave and then go with your heavy to be, and scout just to get the information. As well as our spy. Our spy could be here and like give information, but we have to be very careful of getting caught because the enemy team on blue will probably try to hunt you down because they know that you're watching them and you're gonna give a lot of information. So don't overstay your welcome, or if you have really good jukes, then you could stay your welcome. Um, for B on defense, this is your setup. Your gun will most likely be wrangled perma on this position, level 3. This is very hard for spies to sap. Usually spies either go for this uncloak while disguised and then just kind of jump sap it, but it's very visible for everyone. So if we're aware, we'll probably kill spy before he gets it. He has this corner as well. That's why we kind of want to inch it a little bit away from the edge, because if he just jumps from this, he'll sap it within melee distance. And sapping is the same distance as like stabbing. So like right here, it would be a perfect spot because he can't jump and do that. And then that just leaves him with this uncloak, which will probably just maybe get someone because no one is really looking at this area at this point. Where he just kind of uncloaks, he gets the stab on someone if their back is turned, and then he saps. but his main priority is always to sap the gun. We have our heavy soldier combo. I say combo, but like they're just like they're your own unique combo for the moment. They're sorry, I got a message. Okay. Um, Soldier just gets to be here because he also wants to build banner, and with his support with heavy, they're probably not gonna get the space unless they send their pyro or the bonk scout just eats everything. But there's just it's a really hard time for people on offense to try to take this space while heavy and soldier are here. Heavy and soldier, just be careful if because like I'm not gonna imagine you guys are perma spamming the stairs because you're eventually gonna run out of ammo. I've seen spies get a good timing while they cloak and then they just go for the corner here. They make it to this corner and they're not gonna run out of uncloak because if you guys are not like here, then they'll get the pack and they'll just uncloak here and then probably sap telly stab heavy. Just be very careful of that. Soldier, you're not full time here. Because if their combo were to go E or their flank are already in lobby and they're looking to pressure E cap, you and Scout need to work together to find out if the engineer is working with them to take heaven or if they're just pressuring for E and they're playing lobby. Remember, you guys are not really getting heals, especially on both sides. It's just kind of like a 2v an ulti duo, but without the med, and you guys are just kind of like playing together, trying to focus fire the same thing to kill someone quickly. You have a limited amount of resources, but I mean, for defense, you have this pack, and you have this big pack under, and you have the heaven pack if you're soldier. But again, when we're soldier and scout on defense, we're looking for info. We're not really committing to fights because if we die, it'd be very bad. Um, and we're making sure that they don't get too much space on the flank if nothing's happening on B, right? So it's really important to work together there and make sure that like we don't let them take like heaven, put the telly in hell, like and just have all this and then pressure E. And especially if their combos coming here, you don't fight combo at all because you're gonna get outmatched. You just make sure to tell your combo that if they're gonna go from A to E like this and they're in lobby, to be ready to rotate. Because if the enemy team's combo gets up to here, the demo could lock down sticks with this shutter. Soldier and Scout are not really looking at anything else but the shutter as well, so it's practically impossible. If the engineer, I mean, like it's just really bad because like if the engineer has his setup here, Soldier Scout are like hopping in and out of E cap and their combos here, then we have to, and we're not rotated, we're probably gonna lose. So it's really important to call if their combo is here. That way our combo could be here. We don't even have to use into them when we're on red team unless they use into us first because they're really close. It's really bad if they use their Uber into you here because if we have our pyro is just literally right here, not peeking a thing, and then just air blasting them into the pit. And then as if we're demo, like we're just charge spamming stickies and then like single deading them. Or we could like try to do like a carpet combo because I think if you try to sticky the point on E, the stickies roll out. So it's just better to just kind of like spam stick and then just spam pipes. We'll have our heavy as well. Our heavy, when our demo and pyro are doing all that, is mainly spy checking, making sure spy doesn't get into these cheeky corners and then just gets a kill of our medic or ourselves. So it's just a lot of awareness from our heavy there. Um, and yeah, like I mentioned that only if the blue team went to cap E instead of like capping B. And then like going back to here, like heavy is just most of the time staying here as long as he can. If they're if a soldier has to leave, he leaves. But the important thing is that we don't give this for free unless we absolutely have to. And then remember, there's gonna be a telly for you if you could get health, and then like they're not pushing up, and then you can take the telly again. And then when this is happening as well, like if they're up to here, and you drop off, our demo should not just be looking at the B hallway but at this point. Our demo should be supporting by spamming pipes on this area or arching sticks. But he shouldn't be too like passive in case an exchange happens. But usually they're doing all this when the exchange is happening. So when the exchange like happens, our demo's not gonna get a lot of damage because everyone's invulnerable, everyone's in the Uber, and the exchange is happening. So it's just better for our pyro to take the majority of the Uber on this, and then have our demo just look at upper if they're taking it. And then like eventually, like sometimes people will die and then like we have to play more passive positions, but that doesn't mean you have to give it up completely. Sometimes you'll be able to kill the majority of them while having the majority of yourselves, and then you guys could just kind of slowly work your way back in. So this is like the standard hold when like nothing happened, and then like in case we lost a lot of people, we'd be more passive here. Sometimes if our medic lived throughout the first exchange, we could probably and the fight takes a long time, we could probably get a second Uber exchange and exchange here. It's not a bad idea. But we have to not stay here for too long if we're playing to defend B. And we're playing to give up B. You could stay here until like they're about to cap it, so you can leave Wishbone. But if you're really adamant on defending B because you think you can, then you need after like the Uber exchange, you have to get out and take space again. But for if you can't do that, then you do one of two things. If your team got rolled, you'll probably have to play super passive, wait for them to cap B, get the spawn, and then try to set up for C. If your team did not get rolled, and let's say your combo was able to kite from this area to Wishbone, the things you only have to worry about is the soldier and scout, probably expecting you if they won and they have all that space. If they didn't, then you guys would just keep going through Wishbone, and you could actually defend Wishbone for a little bit. But I wouldn't really advise into staying here for a very long time because the slower door will be opening, and they could pinch you. So like your medic's standing right here, like where can they go? Like the soldier can be cheeky, he could go through hell, make sure he spams. He could be up here and he just spam medic. Like it's not a good spot to stay long term after you just lost B. You just play this spot for a little bit to stall their push, make sure they don't get all of Wishbone so easily. Sometimes Sniper will peek this sightline demo, so I'd be very cautious. I'd say the same thing for Pyro. And if you have your own sniper, it could work, but like you don't really want to fight this for too long. Like if you get some picks, that's good. If you get the later push, that's great. Just this is like a temporary thing after you lose speed. Then you go to your traditional third. Um, you're playing all of this platform ideally. You want to have your heavy here because he doesn't really need beam, and he could do a lot from this point because if people want to bomb this point and get up to here, they're gonna peek into like a point blank heavy, and they're not gonna win. Your demo is just kind of like being a nuisance on the platform and being ready in case they exchange. Mind you, when this door is open, Sniper will try to look for something. So our medic will be positioned right here unless we know that Sniper's dead, because our medic could easily react to an Uber from this distance. They won't instantly die, and then they'll just pop and use it on whoever they need to use based on like where the Uber is happening. And yeah, like it's the same thing as B. Just don't give them too much space. You have a default, and if you have a passive, it's just basically here. And this is where you either play to leave for D, or you try to win the refight and then hold C again. But this is very harder to hold passively compared to B because you only have two spots, and if they have all this space, then they're probably gonna just take this and then spam you guys down. But it's still an option if you know that you can do it. You just have to pay attention to like the players that you have versus the players that they have. If you guys don't opt to hold for C, you guys can leave through your spawn because you could just go to spawn, banning bind, and decide to go like to heaven here. If you're like flank or engineer, or you go like to D. It's really cool for heavies and soldiers to try to like stay in their spawn if they know they're going through Death Hallway because you can do so much damage by just peeking the shutter over here and then like just unpeeking it and banny binding. So like if we know that their combo is gonna try to go through Death Hallway, we can definitely disrupt their pushes if we just have our heavy and soldier hidden in the shutter and then using the windows. Albeit they do see you guys, so they'll be a lot more cautious if they see you in your spawn. If they use their momentum to push into D like this, I mean, ideally you want to have Uber so you can exchange, but it'd be really bad if you didn't. If you guys have people lobby, I would advise to have lobby control if they try to push through Death Hallway, because if they try to play D and it's just their combo, but you guys have lobby, then you guys will eventually burn them out because you'll have people in lobby, you'll have people in your spawn, and you guys just kind of like pressure cook them out. And like that's why the Death Hallway push can fail. Cause like you guys are here and then you're capping and then you're like, okay, we're good, and then like you don't have lobby control at all, and you're just pinched from two sides. And no one's gonna come from here to help you because like It's also like peeking sight lines like snipers and stuff. So I mean, if they go through Duff Hallway, that's probably what they're gonna do. That's how what I just said is how you counter it. But if we don't have anyone lobby, then we kind of have to kite into lobby ourselves and get ready to like fight it like if we were blue team. And by I mean fight it like we were blue team, like we got our spawners. We know they're going through Death Hallway. Our combo has disad. We want to fight them and make them use here by playing in this area. But as soon as they use, we play into lobby. Hopefully, nobody that is spawning on blue team is going through here to pinch you guys. We have info and control while we're in here. We call the post Uber, and then we could have our heavy peek through here and have our demo peek through here, and then just kind of spam them out on D. If they didn't do this area, I'll push. What do I call it? Def room. I don't know. I'm losing my memory. If they didn't go through here and they just went through lobby, they're probably gonna play for the lobby control, and like it kind of goes back to what I was saying. Usually, the best case scenario to win D is by having lobby control, which is also the best case scenario to hold D is by having lobby control. So it's really important. You can't for red team. You can't really stay here too long because you don't have engineer support. Your engineer's gonna be fighting for their life in hell along with scout soldier and maybe sniper. And yeah, like you're just kind of here holding it temporarily until you can't. Whereas like the blue team, like they have their engineer supporting them. They're usually trying to build their guns over here. They're trying to bring the teleporter up, the dispenser. So like if we could kill the engineer and like kill like a majority of their combo as the defending players while holding like lobby and they're trying to take lobby, that's really good. Because then they'll try to do Def Hall again. But then, like I said, if you just have lobby, then you don't have to worry about Def Hall because you're fighting here, and then you have spawners or people that could go from heaven to spawn to fight them. Eventually though, you're gonna lose this, and then you're gonna have to back up to either heaven or or wishbone. Because when D gets capped, uh, you lose the spawn door, so nobody could go to heaven really easily now. So like if we have a heaven setup, we have to defend our heaven setup the best we can. Um, and then we could do that from heaven. Or we could be in wishbone to deny them from fighting from lobby. Because now that D is captured, your spawns are either from your spawn to D or your spawn to C, which connects to wishbone. If you're the combo, then you're probably gonna want to do this because you could just you could support your heaven like this. Like if you have your heaven set up, your heaven players just need to be careful of like them coming from lobby to D, and then your combo can support anyone coming from B to wishbone or anyone coming from lobby to wishbone. It's just a lot of like utility and versatility trying to like defend like when every point is captured but E here. And then you just try to hold your best time. Remember, as I explained for all the points, the more caps that they have, the longer your respawn timer. And your respawn timer when they have no caps is already pretty long. So it's just basically like literally COD zombies at that point. Like you're just basically surviving as long as you can until they either beat your time or you hold them out longer than your time. And I think that is all I can say about Steel. I was speaking more generally in terms of team tactics. When it comes to one-to-one specifics, I said a couple things for certain classes, but like I mentioned, your team is kind of divided into two factions as they always are. You have your combo side and then you have your flank side. And some people, like Spire Sniper, could be more involved with the combo side or they could be involved with the flank side. The engineer on offense is more with the flank side because the flank side on offense Steel is taking space. The defense side, the engineer is most likely between combo and flank because the most important thing for an engineer is having your setups in the points that you're holding. So like if the game just started, your base holding point is right here. Uh if you lost B, the majority of your time is probably going to be in heaven, because if the blue team has heaven control, then you guys are at big risk of getting E capped no matter what point they have. Because with this heaven control, they could spawn trap you guys if this spawn's open, and they could deny you guys from wishbone or D side. So it's really important. And yeah, if there's any specifics or about the map or like a class, I could try to answer the best as I can.
I don't think so.
I'll take that as a no then.
I do have to go quite quickly.